Does a strange world exist beneath our feet? Strange legends have persisted for centuries about the mysterious cavern world and the equally strange beings who inhabit it. More ufologists have considered the possibility that UFOs may be emanating from subterranean bases, that UFO aliens have constructed these bases to carry out various missions involving Earth or humans. Belief in a subterranean world has been handed down as a myth, tale, or rumor down the generations from all over the world. Some of these stories date back to ancient times and tell tales of fantastic flora and fauna that can be found in the caverns of ancient races. Socrates spoke of huge hollows within the earth which are inhabited by man, and vast caverns which rivers flow. A legendary large cavern supposedly exists below the Cocoweef Peak in southwestern California. Earl Darr, a miner and prospector, followed clues given to him by Indians. He entered a crystal cave in the 30s and followed a passage down into Cocoweef Mountain until he attained a depth of about a mile. There he entered a large cavern which he proceeded to explore for a distance of 8 miles. At the bottom of the cavern, a river flowed, rising and falling with lunar tides, and depositing black sands rich in placer gold along its banks. One day, crazed by fever, Thor used dynamite to seal shut the entrance to his fabulous cavern and started a legend that still lures men to seek the fabled wealth below Cocoweef. Nowhere is this belief in a subterranean world more prevalent than with the Indians of North America. The Hopis believe they emerged from a world below the earth through a tunnel at the base of the San Francisco Peaks near Flagstaff. There are also legends about mysterious Mount Shasta in Northern California. The mountain is said to have housed a race of surviving Lemurians who built a sanctuary in the depths of the earth to escape the catastrophes which befell them. These Lemurians allied themselves with space travelers who built a saucer base inside the mountain. Whether ancient cities exist in caverns below the earth is anyone's guess, but it's a fact that governments have built underground tunnels and facilities for a variety of reasons. The Chinese, Russians, Vietnamese all built subterranean tunnels and bases. It shouldn't come as a surprise that America has been building its own underground world. An elusive report, August 7, 1989 edition of U.S. News and World Report, reveals the secret plan to carry on government in a case of disaster. The plan is called Continuity of Government. The article stated that COG is the government's ultimate insurance policy should Armageddon ever arrive, providing the program runs smoothly. Well, in 1982, a new secret agency, the Defense Mobilization Planning Systems Agency, was created and reports to the President. In the event of a nuclear attack, special teams equipped with war plans, military codes, and other essential data would accompany each designated presidential successor to secret command posts around the country. Besides the President, another 46 key officials named in the Joint Emergency Evacuation Plan would be evacuated. There are 50 of these underground command post bunkers located in 10 different regions of the country, and each is linked with others via satellite or ground wave relays. The U.S. Air Force sponsored research in deep underground construction as early as 1958. The Rand Corporation carried out this research and published proceedings from symposiums held on the subject of construction methods and equipment, utility installation, and the use of nuclear bursts to produce underground cavities. A great concern to underground construction engineers was the problem of ventilation. They considered it advisable to take into account all types of ventilation contamination, and not just radioactive fallout. Underground works included ingresses, egresses, and accommodations. The first two are generally provided for by shafts or tunnels, while the third requires larger openings, such as halls, chambers, cells, vaults, and other open spaces. Many problems in design and construction are common to all three. but the problems associated with the larger openings in the rock required for accommodation purposes are generally more complex and difficult than those for smaller openings of tunnels or shafts. Operation and maintenance of underground installations can also pose special problems. Huge boring machines with large diameter disc grinders are used in constructing tunnels. Tunnels are needed to link one accommodation area to another or one facility to another. The English Channel project is the largest engineering project in Europe and will link France and England through a 3-tunnel railway. The 11 boring machines used in the project are so large and so long that they were assembled in underground area 65 feet high. 6 of the machines are digging the submarine tunnel between the Dover Strait and Pas de la Caisse, and 5 are digging the land tunnels leading away from the channel to above-ground terminals. The front of the boring machine contains tungsten-tipped picks that workers guide with the use of laser projections on video screens. These boring machines are like huge steel-encased worms. Sealed in each machine are teams of 35 men who line the cavity of the tunnel with concrete and guide the muck down the track. The machines bore the hole, remove the earth, and pave the inside of the tunnel with precast concrete segments. The digging face of the machine is 95-ton, 28-foot 6-inch diameter disc, divided into cutting blades. The borer is 300 feet long. September 1983, Omni ran a picture story on the Subterrane, a nuclear tunnel boring machine developed at Los Alamos. The machine burrows through deep underground rock, heating it to a molten state, which cools after the subterrane moves on. The result is a tube with a smooth glazed lining that can be used for the high-speed transport shuttles that link the sub-base complexes. Interestingly enough, an inventor named Charles Campen has invented a composite pipe that has enormous tensile strength. Campen had developed an undersea transportation tube that uses his unique system of lock coupling and merely has to be laid on the sea floor, obviating the need for excavating and tunneling. He has made a proposal to Spain to link Spain and Morocco using his new tug technology. Tunnel boring is undergoing a boom according to a recent article in the Wall Street Journal. Susan Nelson, director of the American Underground Space Association, is quoted in the article saying, "There is simply a lot more interest in the world these days in tunneling the use of underground in general. It says the underground is crowded with government-funded mega projects and proposed projects. The Spanish want to put a tunnel through the Pyrenees and bore a road to Morocco on the African coast. The Norwegians want to burrow under the fjords. The Japanese are toying with tunneling through to South Korea. The Canadians are building a tunnel from Newfoundland to Prince Edward's Island. In America, there are 87 public works projects planned in the next 3 years alone. Bear in mind the fact that these are all classified as civil engineering projects. Where civil engineering goes today, military engineering has already gone yesterday." So in 1959, the RAND report carried photos of the giant tunneling boring machines. Large-scale military engineering projects may have made extensive use of these machines since the 50s. Tunneling is getting a boost because of increasingly crowded global landscape. Planners in northern Italy are buying stretches of a freeway in a tunnel to avoid cutting a road through historical important forest and farmlands. Mr. Russell J. Miller of the Colorado School of Mines and director of the Center for Space Mining in Boulder, Colorado, is working on studies to determine the feasibility of putting space bases and cities underground on Mars and on the Moon. Of course, someone from somewhere else may have already beaten Mr. Miller to the punch. Underground diggers have their own society called moles, who find talk of tunneling and tunnels spicier than most of us surface dwellers. It's no secret that governments have built their own secret underground railways and tunnels. China's leaders built secret rail tunnels under Beijing that would enable them to flee in a crisis. According to a Chinese civil servant, the tunnels linked leaders' homes, government buildings, the central bank, and an army base. Well, that sounds like a well thought out plan. Grab your prized possessions, grab the bank, grab the armed guards, and run! The network was built up over a 40-year period as a defense against foreign invaders. We can be sure that what China has done, we have also done. Speaking of the United States. Japan, dense and overcrowded, is giving serious thoughts to living underground. They are planning to build underground sewage plants, underground railroads, and underground cities, according to a recent issue of Omni. The Taisei Corporation is planning to build a subterranean mall called Alice City. There would be underground stores, offices, hotels, theaters, and sports arenas. Strolling spaces would meander through interior spaces populated with trees, birds, fish tanks, bridges, and waterfalls. The Shimizu Corporation has a blueprint for constructing an underground grid that would span 2,000 miles beneath Tokyo. The grid would contain a number of commercial centers connected by subway trains that could shuttle workers to and from. According to science writer Isaac Asimov, there are advantages to living underground. For one thing, no one would worry about the weather. The temperature could be held at a fairly constant level between 55 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and a lot of energy used for heating and cooling could be saved. Without the diurnal sun cycle, no one would know day from night. People could be working around the clock or playing around the clock, depending on their pension. All transportation, communication, and housing could go underground, freeing the surface world from human trampling. The surface of the planet would have a few nice restaurants and recreation centers where people could observe clear blue skies, the returning planet, and also animal life, and have room for all to roam on a weekend hike. Earthquakes would cause only 1/5 of the damage to underground structures that they cause to surface structures. In a provocatively speculative book entitled Alternative 3, author Leslie Watkins proposes that scientists have become concerned with the state of the Earth's atmosphere, a scenario that is much easier to accept these days. Secret meetings between scientists produced 3 alternatives for handling the imminent danger. Alternative 1 was a plan to blast holes through the stratosphere to release heat and pollution. Alternative 2 was a plan to relocate Earth's population in massive underground caverns, drawing fresh, cool air from the soil. Alternative 3 was to escape the Earth and go to Mars. We will consider Alternative 3 later. Whether any real such alternative plan exists or not, we're not arguing, but the concepts are useful in examining future directions of secret projects. The Atomic Energy Commission initiated Project Plowshare in 1957 to develop peaceful uses of nuclear explosives. It had explored use of nuclear blasts to build harbors, dams, highway cuts, and canals, and to stimulate oil and natural gas production by following up the widely used practice of detonating ordinary chemical explosions in oil and glass-bearing strata. The first test of this technique, known as Project Gas Buggy, took place 4,240 feet below in a desolate area of New Mexico known as the San Juan Basin on December 10, 1967, where a 26-kiloton nuclear device was exploded in a sealed well. While Gas Buggy was only a single experiment, the AEC, in partnership with Austral Oil Company of Houston, subsequently began the first of what was promised to be a long series of even larger nuclear explosions, on the order of 2 100-kiloton shots each year for a period of 10 years or more. The first explosion, known as Project Rollison, was a 40-kiloton shot, some 8,400 feet below the ground, at a site near Rifle, Colorado. September 10, 1969. What's going on in the deep underground tunnels below Mercury Base at the Nevada test site? After hearing the story of Bob Lazar on KVEG radio, a construction worker called Billy Goodman and Bob Lazar to say, "We are the construction workers. We put things together and take them apart. Of the meeting of 7 people, there are 2 who will come forward to support you." The mysterious caller further said, "There's more than just tunnels down there. There's everything you can imagine down there. I know because we put it up. We installed. We did everything." Informants have mentioned underground tunnels and facilities in New Mexico at Dulce, Sunspot, Datil, Corona, Taos Pueblo, and Albuquerque. In Arizona, in the Santa Catalina Mountains, in Colorado at Delta, Grand Mesa, and Colorado Springs. In California at Needles, Edwards Air Force Base, the Tehachapi Mountains, Fort Irwin, Norton Air Force Base, the Morongo Valley. Also in Nevada at Blue Diamond, Nellis Air Force Base, Groom Lake, and Papoose Lake areas. Quartzsite Mountain, and Tonopah. I became interested in a possible underground installation in the Tehachapi Mountains in the summer 1988. A young couple, Ray and Nancy, reported that they had gone to Plateau in the mountains after Ray's shift work had completed in a Northrop plant. Ray was inspector on the B2 project. The plateau is adjacent to the perimeter of the Lis Tejon Ranch, where Northrop was built a secret underground facility. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning when Ray and Nancy spotted a brilliant orb coming out of the ground which flashed light in their directions. They could not account for 2.5 hours of missing time. Ray thought that they had the orb under their observation for about an hour, yet the next memory of his is sunrise. So under hypnosis, Ray recalls being abducted and taken to underground base populated by little gray men, EBEs, and Air Force and security personnel as well. The EBEs, or the Little Grays, were examining Nancy, who had been restrained on a metal table. Ray's emotions swelled under hypnotic recall of the incident. A local man claims he saw a flying saucer emerge, take off from a silo on the property. A disgruntled contractor reported that he worked on the constructing the tunnels in the underground area and was bothered by Air Force probes that were often seen hovering in the tunnels. He described these probes as small orbs and said that this facility was nicknamed the Ant Hill because of its resemblance to underground ant colonies. The tunnels have round doorways without doors. Adjacent to the doorways are security panels with red and green lights. There are some kind of cylinders embedded in the doorway jambs to project a field of energy of some sort. Black helicopters have been sighted around Boynton, the secret canyon near Sedona, Arizona. A man living in Long Canyon has cited a lot of strange things in the canyon areas, and residents suspect a secret government installation had been established in, of all places, Secret Mountain. One of my investigators hiked the secret canyon late one night and was stopped by a voice on a loudspeaker and a laser targeting light on his chest. He was told he had entered a restricted area and to turn around and leave. We have now spotted and photographed the small orbs around the ant hill. These orbs definitely exhibit the peculiar characteristics reported in other UFO sightings. Since that time, we have located 2 other secret facilities. One is at a place in the Mojave Desert called Llano. It's an extremely secure facility, but witnesses have seen an extremely bright light burning atop a pylon inside of a movable behemoth-sized structure. This light does not illuminate the interior of the structure. Orbs have been seen in the vicinity of the facility as well. We can only conjecture about what secret programs are being conducted away from prying eyes. The underground can and does hold all sorts of secrets. Some of the most amazing revelations about what goes on in the underground project comes from a mysterious informant named Thomas, and who claims there is indeed a deep dark secret harbored underneath the imposing mountains of northern New Mexico. The deep dark secret at Dulce, New Mexico. Dulce is a sleepy little town in northern New Mexico, about 900 population, located 7,000 feet on the Chicarilla Apache Indian Reservation. There is only one major motel and few stores. It's not a resort town, and it's not bustling with activity. But according to a few outsiders, Dulce harbors deep, dark secret. The secret is harbored deep below the tangled brush of the Archuleta Mesa. The secret is said to be a joint government alien biogenetic laboratory designed to carry out bizarre experiments on humans and animals. New Mexico State Police Officer Gabe Valdez was drawn into the mysteries of Dulce when called in to investigate mutilated cow in a pasture 13 miles east of Dulce on the Manuel Gomez Ranch. Gomez had lost 4 cattle to mutilations between 1976 and June 1978, when a team of investigators, which included Tom Adams, arrived from Paris, Texas, to examine the site of the carcasses. Curious as to how cattle were being selected by the mysterious mutilators, an interesting experiment was conducted July 5, 1978 by Valdez, Gomez, and retired scientist Howard Burgess. They pinned up about 120 of the Gomez beef cattle and moved them through a squeeze chute under an ultraviolet light. They found a glittery substance on the right side of the neck, the right ear, and the right leg. Samples of the affected hides were removed, as well as control samples from the same animals. Schoenfield Clinical Laboratories in Albuquerque analyzed the samples and found significant deposits of potassium and magnesium. The potassium content was 70 times above normal. Some investigators attribute the mutilations to aliens from UFOs. UFOs have been seen frequently around Dulce. Sightings of strange lights and other aerial phenomena have been reported in many areas where the cows have been found at the time of the reported mutilation. The multi-level facility at Dulce is reported to have a central hub, which is controlled by base security. The security level goes up as one descends to lower levels. Thomas had an Ultra 7 clearance. He knew of 7 sub-levels, but there may have been more. Most of the aliens supposedly are on levels 5, 6, and 7, with alien housing on level 5. The only sign in English was over the tube shuttle station hallway, which read, "To Los Alamos." Connections go from Dulce to Page, Arizona facility, then on to Colorado, Sandia, then on to Carlsbad, New Mexico. There appears to be a vast network of tube shuttle connections under the U.S., which extends into a global system of tunnels and sub-cities. At the Dulce base, most signs on doors and hallways are in the alien symbol language and universal symbol system, understood by both humans and aliens. Thomas stated that after the second level, everyone is weighed in the nude, then given a uniform. Visitors are given off-white uniform jumpsuits with a zipper. The weight of the person is put on a computer ID card each day. Any change in weight is noted. If over 3 pounds, a physical exam and x-ray is required. Scales are located in front of all sensitive areas and are built into the floor near doorways and the door control panels. An individual places his computer ID card into the door slot and then enters a numerical code into the keypad. The person's weight and code must match the card or the door will not open. Any discrepancy will summon security. No one is allowed to carry anything into sensitive areas. All supplies are to be put on a conveyor belt and x-rayed. The same method is being used, leaving sensitive areas. All elevators are controlled magnetically. There are no elevator cables. The magnetic system is inside the walls of the elevator shaft. There are no normal electrical controls. Everything is controlled by advanced magnetics, including lighting. There are no regular light bulbs, and the tunnels are illuminated by phosphorus units, which broad structureless emission bands. Some deep tunnels use a form of phosphorus peroxide to temporarily illuminate the areas, but what's funny is that the aliens won't go near these areas for some reason. Level 1 contains the garage for street maintenance. Level 2 contains the garage for trains, shuttles, tunnel boring machines, and disk maintenance. The studies on level 4 include human aura research as well as aspects of telepathy, hypnosis, and dreams. Thomas says that they know how to separate the bioplasmic body from the physical body to place an alien entity life force matrix within a human body after removing the soul life force matrix of the human. Level 6 is privately called Nightmare Hall. It holds the genetic labs where experiments are done on fish, seals, birds, and mice that are vastly altered from their original form. There are multi-armed, multi-legged humans and several cages, also vats, of humanoid bat-like creatures as tall as 7 feet. The aliens have talked to humans a lot about genetic things, both useful and dangerous. The gray and reptoid species are highly analytical and technologically oriented. They have had ancient conflicts with the Nordic humans from other outer space societies, and may be staging here for a future conflict. Intensely into computing and bioengineering sciences, they are led to doing reckless experiments without regard for what we consider to be ethical and empathetic conduct towards other living creatures. Principal government organizations involved in mapping human genetics, the so-called genome projects, are within the Department of Energy. The National Institute of Health, the National Science Foundation, the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, and of course Dulce Underground Labs, which are run by the Department of Energy. So Thomas had revealed that the chief of the genetic experiments for Los Alamos and Dulce is Larry Devon. According to Thomas, the alien androgenal breeder is capable of parthenogenesis. At Dulce, the common form of reproduction is by polyembryony. Each embryo can and does divide into 6 individual cunae. The needed nutriment for developing cunae is supplied by the formula, which usually consists of plasma, dexohemoglobin, albumin, isozyme, cation, amniotic fluid, and more. The term genome is used to describe the totality of the chromosomes unique to a particular organism, as distinct from the genotype, which is the information contained within those chromosomes. The human genes are mapped to specific chromosomal locations. This is an ambitious project that will take years and a lot of computer power to accomplish. Is the alien and human biotech being used to nurture and serve us, or is it being used to control and dominate us? Why have UFO abductees been used in genetic experiments? It was when Thomas encountered humans in cages on level 7 of the Dulce facility that things finally reached a climax for him. Row after row and thousands of humans, human mixture remains, and embryos of humanoids were kept in cold storage, he says. I frequently encountered humans in cages, usually dazed or drugged, but sometimes they cried and begged for help. When we were told we were hopelessly insane and involved in high-risk drug tests to cure insanity, we were told to never speak to them at all. At the beginning, we believed that story. Finally, in 1978, a small group of workers discovered the truth. That began the Dulce Wars. Thomas also says the aliens don't want the land, the gold, the minerals, or the water that we possess, nor even the human or animal life. What they do want is magnetic power that surges on and through the earth. The aliens harvest this magic power in a way unknown to us. Thomas says the aliens recognize this power as more valuable than any other commodity on our globe. It may be unpalatable to digest or believe Thomas's story. In fact, it seems like part of a living nightmare. There is evidence that something strange does go on at Dulce. Does Thomas have the answer? There may be a terrible truth hidden beyond the continuing phenomena of UFO sightings, abductions, and animal mutilations. Our government intelligence agencies have had an ongoing watchful eye on all UFO activities for many decades now. The extraordinary phenomenon must have an extraordinary explanation. We may be only one outpost in a vast interstellar empire. Recently, researcher John Anderson went to Dulce, New Mexico to see if there was any truth to the reported UFO activity. He says as he arrived in town, he saw a caravan of cars and a McDonnell Douglas mini lab and a van going up a rural road near town. He followed them to a fenced-in compound where he waited to see further developments. Suddenly, 6 UFOs descended rapidly over the compound, hovered long enough for him to snap a picture, then shot up and out of sight. When later shopping at a store, he told the owner about the UFO photo that he had taken. The owner listened and revealed how he had been a victim rancher of the cattle mutilations. Their conversation was interrupted by a phone call. The store owner told John to leave at once. Then after John went to his car, he saw a mysterious van drive up to the store, and a man got out and went inside. John, deciding to leave Dulce, was followed by 2 men in a car as he left town. Even more recently, a research team has gone up to Archuleta Mesa to take soundings under the ground. Preliminary and tentative computer analysis of these soundings seem to indicate deep cavities under the mesa. How long will the secret of Dulce, known to insiders as Section D, remain locked up inside the mute New Mexico mountains? Forever? This is Dumbo Truth. God bless.